This video, I am going to break every single cost from the time you spend on mentorship to all the way paying that rent, having that cash flow, and all in between. Look, in this video, it's really like every single detail I can think of, and obviously working with so many clients, I know this money is being invested right now in different services, mentorship, rent, bills that you're paying, pretty much everything you want to know in the Airbnb world. Now, just to let you know, obviously every country, people from US watch this, Canada watch this, and for me, all country has similar method. Obviously in your country that you are in, you just need to change the price depending on there's other things to be added, but in a nutshell, this is the UK version right now, and potentially even Dubai. And then what I would love you to start now thinking is the process and making sure that, you know, this is all up front. A lot of people get into mentorship without knowing all of this, and then all of a sudden there's more and more cost being involved. So you end up doing a mentorship but not having the funds to do something, right? So I'm really excited. This literally is a breakdown of every single cost that you can think of that you're going to invest before you start your Airbnb business. So look, let's start straight away with the mentorship, because a lot of time, you know, if people watch my video, I try and make sure that you guys are understanding, and as we go through this video today, I want to make sure that every single expenses that you're going to take obviously is an investment as a part of business, but at least I'm glad that I'm telling this all up front, because I actually looked online to find if there's anyone actually saying all this cost, and nobody was, and I was like, great, okay, this is something people need to know, right? So further down, you'll understand the total. In between, you'll understand all the expenses breakdown, but the first one being mentorship. Now, mentorship costs at the moment starts from anywhere between £2,000 to £5,000, right? And in between. Now, mentorship for me, just to give you a heads up, a lot of, you know, people that I work with, my clients, they also offer mentorship to people. Now, I'm a big fan of masterminds where you just don't get a content, you've just been told to do this and that and watch the content. I'm a big fan of actually a group of people together where you can exchange knowledge, because you're not always going to be available to, or your mentor effectively is not going to be available to you all the time. So when you become a part of mastermind, and I've invested a lot in myself and the masterminds that I've been in, the people in the mastermind also makes a huge difference in your success, right? So firstly, the cost. Now the cost is £2,000 starting to £5,000. Now, the second thing, you straight after you go into a mastermind, you know, you're literally thinking about setting up a business, right? Now, when you think about setting up the business in the UK, you're looking anywhere between £800 to £1,000. Now, you know, obviously I've done a separate video on the legal side of kind of Airbnb and service accommodation business, but, you know, that involves, you know, making sure that you're company registered, you've got insurance, you've got bank open, you've got, you know, public liability and indemnity insurance, you've got other things like PRS, TPOs. So effectively, you're opening a letting agency. The only difference in this case is you are opening a short-term rental letting agency. Now, this is going to be more fun, because the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is property sourcing company. There's a lot of mentorship out there. We're very big mentors, right? They bring all these people together, but within that group, there's people who go through mentorship and still fail to secure a unit. Now, I've worked with people like them, and I asked them, hey, what was the reason why you couldn't, you know, go and get, or couldn't speak to letting agency? And they never said yes, or this and that. And the temptation of being in a mastermind when somebody else has actioned it and they've got a unit, they've got it up and running, you want to be in that position. So what happens in the UK is within that group, there's core sourcing companies who are really going and, you know, finding deals every day. Obviously, not every one of them are doing it in the right way. And I've done a separate video about it and the sourcing styles and sourcing type of properties and stuff like that. But, you know, you are now tempted to pay that extra £3,000. There's another cost, which is, you know, an average of £3,000 you're going to invest. Now, once you do that, once the agreement is done, you have an option, which is where I've always been a big fan of saying to clients, and there's a guy called Martin, who I've been a very good kind of alliance with him. I've sent him loads of business over the past few years for people who are starting, and I'm like, look, just speak to him. But he actually looks after property documents, right? So when you've got a unit ready and you've got a agreement ready to be signed, you can just go and sign it. But if it's your first unit, in your mentorship, there will be people explaining you some of the clause on the actual company agreement or the management agreement. Now, again, in the UK, we're all about using template, and your mastermind and your online program will give you that. But please make sure because remember, at the end of the day, you're going into a legal contract. Your mastermind can give you a contract, but they're never going to protect you if something goes wrong, right? Because it's a template. There is a cost for that. Again, it could go from anywhere between just a review on a contract, which could be up to £500 to £1,000, or getting a management agreement, which is very watertight, made for Airbnb and short-term rental business. So you've got a cost anywhere between £500 to £1,000. So now you've got the legal signed off, you're now going to go and pay your first rent. Now, obviously this is a must before you start, and you get the keys, you're going to pay the rent up front. So you paid £1,500, let's say in argument's sake for this scenario, and then you've got a 6 weeks deposit. Now the 6 week deposit, if you are lucky and you're working with landlords directly, you might be able to not pay any deposit based on your conversation with, obviously the landlord, right? If you're effectively working with a letting agents, the likely chances are you're new, so they will make you, pay that deposit in first. Now, there's £1,500 on rent and deposit for that. Is in the UK right now, it's 6 weeks, so it will be £1,730. So that's kind of initial cost. Again, another cost that you're looking at, which is £1,500 on rent and £1,730 on your deposit for your property. So now, I think this is something that I have seen some people using it, and the more I see people using it, I think it's actually a great product for your business, which is using a property staging company. In a reality, it's the first time you're doing it. You're probably seeing thousands of other pictures from online on Airbnb.com. You've got inspiration on Pinterest. You've got everything you need, but you still need to go and purchase them in the best way possible, but also in the most effective way possible, and time, right? Because at the end of the day, staging a place takes a lot of time, and if you're working full time, which 90% of people will be, you don't have time to do all of this, right? So a lot of times sourcing company offers an additional service, which is staging and cost, for the staging. But you can always go and hire someone to do staging for your business. Staging effectively means someone who can go and make your property the best looking property, buying the best furnitures, making sure the color combinations are perfect, making sure that it looks amazing, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to end up using a lot of time and effort to put this property together. So you've now got staging, which will work out up to £1,000 of investment. And finally, now, if somebody's staging, you're investing, right, on the actual furniture and everything around the property. Now, look, there's again ways to lease a furniture. Again, I've seen people leasing furniture. They're not the best looking furniture. You end up in a 36 or 24 months contract, which then again adds, effectively, there's other ways to work around it, but it's great. But, if you're being told for your first unit, you're going to end up investing on on all the furniture in the business, right? So all the property. So the setup cost, if let's say for argument's sake, it's a 2-bed apartment, right now to make it look really nice, it has to start around £4,500 to even £6,500 to make it look very, very pretty and nice, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to go with an average product, which is not going to sell in the market. Your product's got to look so unique that people who are looking on Airbnb, Booking.com, or your website, they really are willing to book you. So guys, I hope if you're enjoying this, and this is something that I've always wanted to do in this channel, I want to make sure that people are learning from it, you are understanding the process, you're understanding the cost. You know, some of it might put you off, by the way, but it's okay. At least I'm giving you the right facts and figures before you go and take actions, and at least you're willing to understand what it's going to take for you to have that effectively your first unit ready, live, and actually running the business. So with that, look, once you've now set up your cost, and stuff, we now go into professional photos. At the end of the day, this is what's going to be a game changer, because you can end up taking photos from your iPhone and looking at average with no lights, you know, not perfectly done, or you get a professional photo company who's going to take a picture properly, who's going to obviously market it properly for you and really take advantage of how it's going to look on the online platforms. That's going to attract people to click your listing, right? So it's going to cost you anywhere between, I think, around up to £300 on an average. So that's again a cost that you need to make sure that you are ready with before you go live. Now look, while you're doing all of this, you picked up the keys, which means your rent is now due in the next 30 days. If it's your first unit, the likely chances are, if you don't use the staging company or, you know, some of the kind of services I've spoken about, you're going to end up taking at least 2 weeks to go live, right? I've seen so many, and that's average, by the way. I speak to people like yourself who's about to start all the time. To be safer, I want you to think about your first month cash flow, and that's to the least. If I was running a business of such as Airbnb and really kind of going into the rent-to-rent model, I would effectively tell people to have at least 3 months of cash flow for the 3 years or 36 months contract that you're going to have, because you just never know what's around the corner, and you've got to back up your business to be able to make sure that the business will survive. And that's effectively a business rule. So for me, in this case, let's say it was £1,500 rent, £350 bills, 150 on average on council tax, and £200 on other fixed expenses, bringing it up to £2,200 on kinda your first month cash flow, and that's without the variable expenses that you have in your property. So now it brings to a grand total, the grand total that you guys been waiting for, based on all the expenses or the detail expenses I've gone through. So in the lowest, you can see it's going to cost you roughly around $17,530, and that's everything. If you really want to make a success out of all the knowledge, the services, making sure that you're doing things properly, making sure you've got your legals watertight, you're using professional photos, everything all in to be successful right now in 2024, you need to invest an average of $17,530. Now that's in the lowest. The highest, if your mentorship cost is higher, you're going with the right mentor who effectively might save you some of this cost, by the way, it might go up to £22,930, and just maybe even slightly more, depending on the cost going up and down. But guys, look at that. We've just kind of broken down every single thing that you wanted to know in terms of expenses, from the time you've actually known, right, to actually implementing everything we've spoken about today. And look, a fun fact, you know, you're 0 to 3 months, you're going to end up like learning about it, gaining interest. You're going to watch videos like mine. Obviously, we don't offer mentorship, so I'm happy to give you all this information, which is what I love about my channel. And there's so many success stories in YouTube that you're going to follow, and then you're going to find out a mentor that you're going to invest in. You're going to follow them. You're going to know, like, trust them, and you're going to end up spending that first initial investment that you want to know and learn about Airbnb and short-term rental business, and that could take anywhere between 6 to 12 months once you've understood the model, right? And once you understood what it actually brings to you, or the value that's going to bring to your life. So guys, I hope you enjoyed another Grow Your BnB video. This will give you an indication about Airbnb business generally all over the world. And look, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you are hitting that like, and make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, because this year I really want to make sure I bring videos that's really going to make you understand that is this the right decision for your life, and is this the right decision to obviously start and invest in a service accommodation or Airbnb business. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back with another video soon.